Mulwinak, and welcome to this week's program of Speak Your Mind, live here in the studio of Gold FM, and of course taped for the benefit of those who are watching on FBC TV on Tuesday night, and the replay as well on Wednesday morning. Of course, the hot topic for the past couple of weeks is the Draft Constitution 2013. We were privileged that the Prime Minister, Commodore Voreqe Bainimarama, had joined us a couple of days ago, and we're grateful once again and honored that he has agreed to join us again today to continue with our discussions of the Draft Constitution 2013. I also do understand that the Attorney General's chambers are currently conducting sessions across the country in Suva, in the north in Lambasa, as well as in the west as we speak in Nandi, on the same topic of the Draft Constitution. But we are pleased the Prime Minister joins us today here in the studio to answer your questions and queries regarding this topic, the 2013 Draft Constitution. Prime Minister, welcome back once again.
And I welcome listeners listening into this program.
And just for the really benefit of folks who are listening in, of course, we've mentioned this 3 dozen times in the past, but we'll mention it again. The direct number into the studio is 3220-906 and 3220-907. Of course, if you're listening in online and if you wish to send in your questions via email, you may do so. The email address is goldfm@fbc.com.fj. Prime Minister, to be very honest, sir, with the release of this draft constitution, there seems to be quite a lot of opposition on it from political parties, from folks who oppose your administration. I mean, you've made it clear that you will be running for the 2014 elections. Your policies, your political party, you'll make what political party, your policies will be out there. Why do you think, sir, that these people are opposing the draft constitution as well as the work of your administration?
Well, I suggest, Wame, that the people who are opposing the draft constitution are the politicians. People who want to, the old politicians, I must say. Especially those who wants to bring back the Guy constitution, the Guy draft, or those who wants to bring back the 1997 constitution. Both constitutions which are not good for us.
They've also been mentioned, and you've spoken about this in the past, the fact that we are all now a common identity. Everybody's now a Fijian, regardless of whether you're Indo-Fijian or Tuman Fijian or Chinese Fijian. There has been now folks against that, the same folks who have mentioned opposition or have opposed the draft, have said now the rumors saying that, well, if everybody is now a Fijian, it'll be in the Volani Kaumpula, which now makes other, non-Itoke claim to the indigenous Fijian land. Is that true? Or is that just another rumor?
Wame, I must tell you that I've been told by my officials that those are topics, hot topics in the anti-government blog sites. That's what you do. That's what you get when you read blog sites. You get rubbish. I'm sorry to tell you this. But no, that cannot happen. Just because we are all Fijians does not mean we all share the land or whatever that belongs to the Itoke. That's not correct.
All right. So the last time you were here, there has been a number of changes to the constitutional making process. And for instance, number one, the deliberations. And last time we were here, we discussed that it will end on the 5th of April. But of course, a day later, you had mentioned at Gold FM's sister radio station that it will now end on the 26th of April. Other than those changes, are there any other changes regarding the constitution?
Well, there have been a lot of submissions that have come through since last we talked. And those are submissions that we've taken on board, and definitely there'll be changes to the draft constitution that we are looking at now. And that's what I keep saying, that we have now the opportunity to come in and put your submissions for any amendment that needs to be done to the constitution, especially politicians. As leaders, they should come in and be part of this constitution-making process and be part of Fiji's future. It's no good hopping from the sideline, bringing back the Guy draft or bringing back the 1997 draft, 1997 constitution, because that's not going to happen. I think that should be made clear. We're trying to make it clear to old politicians.
I guess you made it very clear now.
We make it very clear that that's not going to happen. But going on from that, the if you read through the guide draft, if you read the 1997 Constitution and the draft Constitution that we have now, you will notice that a lot of what's in the guide draft has been incorporated in this draft Constitution, especially the Bill of Rights, the socio-economic rights.
And we will talk about that. We will talk about that in a moment. In the meantime, Prime Minister, what is the difference? Because folks are wondering. You've mentioned 1997 Constitution isn't coming back, so forget about that. The guide draft Constitution isn't going to happen either, so that's not going to eventuate. What is the difference between the draft Constitution 2013 as opposed to those two previous constitutions?
Well, I want to say, Wame, that we have not totally gotten rid of those two constitutions. Well, we've gotten rid of the 1997 Constitution. That's been abrogated. But we've incorporated most of the issues from those constitutions into this draft Constitution. That's one. I want to make that quite clear. And if a person reads through the three constitutions, they will notice that. But in addition to that, the measure that was used to determine what was included in the draft Constitution from the GUI and the 97 Constitution was what is internationally acceptable to move the country forward, forgetting about what's happened in the past. In addition to that, we've gotten rid of, we make sure that the non-negotiables are included. That has to be included. If I can say, with regards to the guide draft, somebody once told me that it wasn't a constitution. It wasn't a draft constitution. It was a paper on reconciliation, as if we were trying to, the guide draft was trying to provide some answers to what happened in 1987, 2000, because they're listening to old politicians and the NGOs. They were trying to find a way out for them. That is not what the Constitution should be about. The Constitution should be about equal rights, looking after our children and our grandchildren and their education, socio-economic rights, the non-negotiables that we talked about, equal citizenry, under the voting age under 18. Those are some of the things that we should be including in the GUI Constitution. But the GUI Constitution, if you read through it, it included that 140 House of Assembly or National Assembly. I've forgotten. And that National Assembly was going to be made up of unelected people, mostly NGOs, unelected NGOs, that would have come in and made decisions for us. And if you read through the powers of the House of Assembly, it had more power than the Parliament itself. For those that are not elected, we cannot afford that. We're talking about equal citizenry, one man, one vote, to get rid of the race issues that have been the obsession of this nation for the last 20, 30 years. We need to get rid of that. The Yas guy came up with a special place for women in Parliament. Why should women have a special place in Parliament? These NGOs have their way with Professor Yas Guy, asking for entitlement to a special place in Parliament. If they want to go into Parliament, let it be through merit, like everybody else. We don't have a special place for women in Parliament, especially NGOs. If they want to really look after the women, help the women in this country, take a boat, go out to the maritime areas, find out what the women in the islands go through to put food on the table. That's more important than getting a seat in Parliament. I heard in the last couple of days, a group of women NGOs are getting together in pursuit of this. Seats in Parliament. They want to have a look at the security forces' roles. If they really want to look after and care for the women of this country, go to the bus stand, catch a carrier from there, and go into the hinterlands of Televu or Netasiri, and find out what the women go through every day to put food on the table and look after their children, especially those going to school. That's better. That's more. That would be more beneficial to the people of this nation than trying to find out what the role of the security forces are. And I want to tell them the security forces are here to look after their security.
Commodore Voreqe Bainimarama, the Prime Minister, joining us today on Speak Your Mind. We'll take a break. We'll come back with more. Phone lines are open, 3220-906. Welcome back to Speak Your Mind. Commodore Voreqe Bainimarama, the Prime Minister of the Republic of Fiji, joins me today for an exclusive discussion here on Speak Your Mind on the 2013 Draft Constitution. Phone lines are open, 3220-906. And to the phone lines we'll go to now, line 10. Prime Minister, we've got a question for you. Gold FM, Bula. Gold FM, hello. Hello. Yep. Good Bula Binaka to you. Can you just give me your first name and where you're calling from?
My name is Angeline, and I'm calling from Suva.
Angeline from Suva, your question for the Prime Minister?
Okay, my question is, doesn't it open the door for political bias if all the independent commissions are selected by either the Prime Minister, AG, or Leader of Opposition? Thank you.
Angeline, Prime Minister?
Well, in that case, what do you suggest?
Unfortunately, Angelina is off the line now. But she was referring to the appointments of individuals in the commission, sir. Says that it'll be done now by the Office of the Prime Minister as well as the Attorney General.
Well, if he has any alternative to the Attorney General and the Prime Minister, please let us know so we can put it in the submission. But those are the people in authority. Those are the people that run the government. And of course, they are entitled to make the choices that they want.
Would it be best, sir, to have an independent commission?
Independent as in what?
Independent from the government.
So who would pick this independent body?
Let's say the Constitution Commission in the past that used to appoint this.
So who would appoint the Constitution Commission? You see my point?
But wouldn't there be other individuals? I guess the point that Angeline is asking, sir, someone outside of the government, so that is non-political.
Yeah, but who's going to pick these people from outside the government?
All right.
This is the same story that we're getting, that again from the blog side that's been reported to me, that the Prime Minister supposedly has a lot of powers. So what? He is in authority. He is the Prime Minister of this land, so he is to have the relevant powers to do what's right for this country.
Okay, we'll discuss that in a minute. But before we do, let's cross over again to the phone lines on line 9, Gold FM. Hello.
Nisambul Venaka.
Your first name, sir, and where are you calling from?
Lewai, and I'm calling from Suva. My concerns also mirror the one from the last caller about just how saturated the powers are in one person, which is the Prime Minister. And as the commander had said, and and as his comments had pertained to, there are ways that we can go about doing things where power is actually shared. And in a truly democratic country, and especially when we're talking about a constitution, it should be open and accountable for all. Like a process. But clearly, the commander and his government has showed that if they don't like a constitution, they'll burn it. Clearly, the guide draft is not a guide draft; it's the people's draft. And unlike what the commander had said over and over again, that's many of us had actually believed in it. We've mobilized our own communities. We've mobilized our own networks to actually have a feedback into it. And now they burnt it in front of us. Burning a constitution is the highest form of desecration that anyone can do to a legal document.
Listen. I think you got it wrong. No one burned any constitution.
No, they did.
No,
they did burn it, and we've seen pictures of it.
Listen.
And they have.
Listen to me. There was no constitution burned. At any rate, it was a draft constitution. If anything was burned, it's not the draft constitution that was prepared by Yazgai. That's the problem with reading the anti-government blog sites. You read nothing but rubbish.
All right. Well, the phone lines are still open, 3220-906 and 907. You've mentioned the Prime Minister that the government will publish explanatory notes on each section of the draft constitution to lay out what they mean in order to make it more understandable to the ordinary Fijians. When could the Fijians expect these notes to be out?
Soon, I hope.
Mm-hmm.
The Solicitor General's Chambers are working on it.
All right. Will it have?
In fact, it's. I've seen a copy of it. Maybe they're expanding on it.
As mentioned before we started our discussions, the Attorney General's Chambers is now touring the country in Suva. He's also been to the north in Lambasa and Nandi. And I do understand that he's spending a day each in these towns and these cities. How about the folks in outer islands who would like to speak, also share their views on this?
Well, that's the problem we have right now. That's why we moved the timeline to 26th of April, so that we can cover as many people as we can. What really the Attorney General is doing, he is clarifying the Constitution to those people who will be going out into the rural and maritime areas, in the remote areas. That's what he's trying to do right now.
The Rokotuis.
The Rokotuis and the PAs and the advisory councillors, the commissioners, and government workers in general, government officials, permanent secretaries, directors. Those who want to come in and listen, because at some stage they will go and sit in around the grog bowl. They will go to church. They will talk with the congregation. So that's the whole reason that we're doing this thing.
As you know, sir, most people in this country, at least who live in outer islands, do not speak English very well, or some of them do not understand it very well either. Most of them do speak Fijian or Hindi. Is there a chance for the draft constitution to be translated so that the ordinary Fijian could understand it?
No, not now. We don't have the time. But it'll be translated, of course, when the constitution comes out. But what I can say is we've been talking about constitution and the submissions and issues regarding our future in Fiji for the last, 6 months, 7 months, 8 months. So they will have understood some of the things that are in the Constitution, what they want and what they don't want.
We'll cross over now to the phone lines. We've got a call on line 9, Gold FM Bula.
Name Bulavinaka.
Can I just get your first name, please, and where you're calling from?
Thank you. This is Madhu from Lambasa.
Mm-hmm.
A question to the PM. Sir, I've got one question from my side with you. Are you people giving the lands for cultivating or giving the lands for the subdivide? Because why I'm saying this land department people here in Lambasa, they want to subdivide my land, which my land is so small and it's 6 acres only, and I want to cultivate the land to plant the cane. And we got 3 houses in our land. And secondly, from your office, no one called me from your office from that day. I spoke to Sami Lochan, that day in Hindi program. I have waited for your calls and nobody called me from your office.
All right, we've got a caller there.
Listen, I will talk on issues regarding the Constitution. Call my office. I think you've been given the number 9905-819. But I still can't understand what your question was.
All right, we've got the number there, 9905-809. Perhaps it's best...
Sorry, 819.
819. 9905-819. That's the number you can call to. The lady who called in from the north, from Lambasa, in queries regarding other issues that has nothing to do with the draft constitution. We'll take a break. We'll come back with more on Speak Your Mind right here on Gold. Welcome back to Speak Your Mind. This is a forum where you, the viewers of this program, or at least the listeners of this radio station, can call in and ask a question. Enough about me, it's about you. So call into the studio if you have a question about the Draft Constitution 2013 to the Prime Minister. The number to call in is 3220-906. We've got a caller now on line 9, Gold FM Bula.
Bula Chaka.
Your first name and where you're calling from?
Sanjeevi Sami from Neni, sir.
Go right ahead with your question to the Prime Minister.
This is the best constitution the Prime Minister and the Attorney General has given to the country.
No.
Sir, so I congratulate the Prime Minister and the Attorney General for work well done with his government. So I got no fuss or nothing about it. This is the best we can go about. Thank you.
No.
All right, well, we'll take another call, line 10, Gold FM Bula.
Bula. Young Ravanaka, Mr. Prime Minister, and thank you for reaching out to all Fijians in our beautiful Fiji. I do not read blog sites because of its idiotic content, and I agree with what you said. And this government is the best thing that's ever happened to most of our citizens in Fiji because we are now given the right to speak our minds. One of the non-negotiable principles is remaining a secular state. Under D of secular state is a stipulation that no person shall assert any religious belief as a legal reason to disregard this constitution or any other law. I'll be as brief as possible with my query, sorry. Under the preamble number 8 in chapter 1, the state, we are guaranteed human rights, freedom, and the rule of law. In the supremacy of the constitution number 2, any law inconsistent with this constitution is invalid to the extent of the inconsistency. Under the principles of constitutional interpretation number 2, is that if a law appears to be inconsistent, the court must adopt a reasonable interpretation. Oh, sorry, I'm still going on. We have no right to deny the happiness and right to life of an individual. Religious belief is being used as legal reason to forbid same-sex marriage.
Lady, can you tell us what you want to...
Yes. Same-sex couples are already cohabiting and have been doing that since time immemorial. Sorry. Who are we to deny any two adult people the right to marriage? It would be a waste of time and money for the court to adopt a reasonable interpretation of this basic human right. After all, it's just a piece of paper. Sorry. Our government is unlike no other in the Pacific and maybe in most parts of the world in that it has made progressive changes in our wonderful nation. Granting same-sex marriage is a duty to all citizens. Once again, Venaka Vakalevu, Mr. Prime Minister, for your building a better Fiji. Thank you.
Okay, well, there was quite a lengthy show of gratitude, but nonetheless, we'll take another call. We've got another call on line 9. Gold FM Bula.
Hello, Mbula.
Yeah, Nimbula Venaka. Your first name and where you're calling from?
This is Rosie. I'm calling from Suva.
Go ahead with your question.
My question is, why is it derogation to the right to life? And it's identical to the EU Convention of Human Rights, which was done in the 1950s. The EU member countries have the right to life as absolute, yet the Fiji draft has a derogation to the right to life.
Prime Minister?
So what do you suggest?
I'd suggest that we have the right to life as absolute and not have derogations to the right to life.
So if one of the escaped prisoners come for you in the middle of the night, don't you have the right to protect yourself?
Well, that's why there's procedures and protocol.
No. Do you have the right? Do you have the right to protect yourself?
Well, there you go. We'll continue with our discussion. 3220-906 and 907. Let's talk about the Bill of Rights, Prime Minister. You've mentioned about the Bill of Rights and how I presume that your administration is proud. One of the chapters in the draft constitution, a major improvement as opposed to the former 1997, now abrogated constitution, as well as the Yashgai draft. The Bill of Rights is of course a great improvement, as I've mentioned, and also particularly at Section 6, where it says that the rights, it says now that this chapter binds Parliament, the judiciary, and the executive branch of government at all levels, and every person performing the functions of any public office. So now it really binds the public office holders.
So, what's your point?
No, I'm saying that wasn't in the previous constitution. That is a new inclusion.
Yes, there are a lot of, in the Bill of Rights, as I've said, we incorporated what was put, the good ones, from Professor Yashgai, and of course the 1997 Constitution, and we have new ones that we put in that we think would be helpful to the running of this nation.
All right. Well, there are limitations, though. There are limitations in the rights within the Bill of Rights.
You have to have limitations, otherwise you'll have a hard time fighting your way in court. For example, you see the Bill of Rights with regards to discrimination for gays. That was left open in the last in the guy's draft, which meant, unfortunately for the lady that called earlier on, you could have same-sex marriage. Now you have additional explanation to that to ensure that that does not happen. To that lady that came on earlier on, to her it might be just a piece of paper. To a lot of us, it's just not a piece of paper.
We'll cross over to the phone lines now. Line 7, Gold FM Bula.
Hello?
Bula, your first name and where you're calling from?
No, this is the same lady who called in from North. Can Mr. Prime Minister repeat this number, please, for me?
It's 9905-819. 9905-819. Vinaka, we'll take another phone call. Gold FM Bula.
Hello.
Yep. Your name, sir, and where you calling from?
My name is Peter from Nandi.
All right. Your question for the Prime Minister?
I just want to suggest requesting that if you take out the president, just put a premise.
I beg your pardon, sir. Say that again.
Just take out the president and put the prime minister.
Take out the president and put out the Prime Minister. Is there a reason why you want that to happen, sir?
Come again, sir?
Why is that? Why do you wish to take away the office of the president?
And because there's no place for the president. Okay, do like it. Thank you.
All right. Well, there's a view there.
Well, the president is really the head of state of the nation, and he carries out ceremonial duties on our behalf. So there needs to be a president.
You've mentioned about the Bill of Rights, Prime Minister, as we wait for more phone calls to come in. Perhaps you'd like to explain as to exactly what do you mean by what does the draft mean by the limitations as to what that caller had mentioned earlier on with the right to life.
Well, if escape, like I said, escape prisoner walk into your house and threaten your life, you have a right to protect yourself. And if that protection means killing that man because he's got a knife in his hand, then you won't be taken to court for that. That's the explanation for that.
So that's what that means.
That's what that means. Again, I have a briefing from my officials on what goes on the anti-government blogs, and these are everything that's been on the anti-government blogs. That people who oppose the draft constitution, oppose the government for that matter, come up with. It's nothing but rubbish.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back with more right here on Speak Your Mind. Welcome back to Speak Your Mind. Joining me today, the Prime Minister, Commodore Voreqe Bainimarama. Phone lines are open, 3220-906. Direct line into the studio, 3220-907. So going to move across as well to the email address. It's goldfm@fbc.com.fj. If you have a question you'd like to email in as well, by all means do so. Once again, that's goldfm@fbc.com.fj. The program is really about you. This is your platform, the listeners of Gold FM as well as the viewers of Speak Your Mind, to call in and ask a question relating to the topic of discussion. And today's topic of discussion is the 2013 Fiji Draft Constitution, of which deliberations will end towards the end of this month, the 26th of April to be exact. As we wait for more phone calls, Prime Minister, I suppose we'll just briefly discuss some more of the Constitution, the Draft Constitution 2013. I'm still on the Bill of Rights. I've flicked over to Section 17 now, where it mentions the freedom of expression, publication, and media. And it goes on to say that every person has the right to freedom of expression and publication, which includes and it lists the freedom. And as mentioned earlier on, sir, with this freedom, there also are limitations, of which you referred to briefly. If you could just kindly clarify as to what the limitations mean within this section, in subsection 3, where it says a law may limit or may authorize the limitations of the right to freedom of expression in the interests of national security, public safety, public order, and towards the end it says, or the orderly conduct of elections.
Well, it says exactly what it means, what exactly it says here. If it's anything to do with national security, the government has the right to curtail media freedom. If it's anything to do with, emergency, the government has the right to curtail that media freedom, to stop it from being announced so that you can do the normal thing that the government does to protect the people of this nation.
All right. We'll cross over now
Very
to the
simple.
phone line. Cross over now to the phone lines. Line 9, Gold FM, Bula. Gold FM, hello.
Yes, hello. Wame, this is Shamima Ali from
Bulwinaka
Suva.
Shamima Ali from the
I
Fiji.
just wanted to make a comment on the issue of being able to express views that might be in opposition to what's in the draft constitution or what the present administration says. But, if you're moving towards true democracy, a thriving democracy, then that is allowed. It doesn't mean one is anti-this or hates the government or so on, but it's an environment where one is able to express, contradictory views. So that's all I needed to say.
I
Thank
agree.
you very much.
I agree. So what are you trying to say?
Just that it's not all rubbish, that people have a right to express their views. That's what I wanted to say, Commander.
Have I said anything to you that's rubbish?
No, it's not rubbish. That's what democracy is all about, where people are able to do that, as long as it doesn't harm other people. Human rights with responsibilities. That's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Have you got anything else to submit for the any suggestion to the amendment to this draft?
Well, we've lost Miss Ali there, but really, to go back with what we've discussed, Prime Minister, the freedom of expression, publication, and media, which you mentioned that this freedom may be limited on what we've discussed earlier on. Does that mean some are worried, some are concerned that during a national election, come 2014, if a political party wish to gather and discuss and speak, or perhaps, let's say, after the general elections, a political party wish to come together and discuss, and not without any violence, and speak about the current administration, will they be able to do so, or should they fear limitation?
No, that is allowed. I think.
No, I'm asking this because this is
no. That is allowed. That's not under these limitations. People can meet and talk about anything, as long as it's not about violence. It's not about race. Anyone can sit and talk.
And they could talk about, of course, to criticize the current administration, if they have.
Of course.
All right. When you say orderly conduct of elections, what does that mean? What could disrupt the orderly conduct of...
Well, as I mentioned, people might bring in the race issue. We need to stop that. That needs to be gotten rid of the way forward for Fiji. We can't afford to have that again.
3220-906 and 907. We'll cross over to the phone lines once again. Suppose we'll take a caller from line 9. Gold FM, Bula. Gold FM, hello.
Yeah, Nimbula.
Nimbula, your first name, sir, and where are you calling from?
Chapu from London.
Go right ahead with your question.
First, Nimbula Prime Minister.
Yeah, Nimbula.
Never seen so much development, so less corruption. You are the man for Fiji. Second level, Nimode.
All right, well, there you have it. Someone from the West will answer another phone call. Gold FM, Bula.
Yeah, hi, Mami. It's me again, Lawa, yeah? Just before I got cut off, I was just saying that the whole process in itself seems really fishy because we don't have any idea about what these comments are. Like they're saying that there are people texting in and that people are having a say that everything is good so far, but how do we know that these comments are coming in?
What comments are you talking about?
I mean, in your previous talkback shows, you said that people have been texting in about this, about your draft constitution, and have been positive, and you said that there's been a lot of feedback about the constitution. But how do we know? Because this information is only privy to the people that actually receive it, and none of us know what these comments are.
I'm sorry, I can't figure out a way to show you. If you want, you can come to our office and we'll show you what these comments are. But we can't put them on. I don't know how we can put them in public for you to see.
Are you after the comments, sir? What exactly are you after again?
No, the thing is, you have to understand why people are very reserved about the whole process, because there is no transparency in it.
What whole process? Hold on.
Yeah.
What whole process?
This whole constitutional process.
You're saying that there's no transparency in it.
There is no transparency.
Define your definition of transparency in the making of a constitution.
Okay, transparency was the process that happened where people were actually giving their feedback, where it was a public debate, people debating about this topic. But that right was taken away from us when you deemed the guide draft as...
Right now, I'm giving you the opportunity to come up with a submission to amend the draft constitution.
But how do I know that that submission will be taken into hand and considered? Because I have no idea what this process is.
Listen to me. Professor Guy went around throughout the whole of Fiji.
Yes.
And he probably received about 500,000 submissions.
Yes.
He can't put the 500 submission in his draft. Can you understand that?
I do understand
Okay,
that.
right.
I do.
Understand that bit.
Okay.
Now, understand out of that bit that he's going to put in his draft constitution, there'll be good ones and there'll be bad ones.
Okay.
And I'm working towards taking Fiji forward with the good ones. Now, how more transparent do you want us to be? Has anyone invited the public to put in submissions? Has any previous government ever done this for you?
I don't think we've ever been in this state where a military dictatorship has been in power for 6 years.
That's your definition, dictatorship. That's the problem with anti-government people who do not want to understand what's happening in this nation.
It's not anti-government. I think it's anti-dictatorship.
Well,
that has to be proven, and that has to be mentioned.
That's your definition of it. But if you don't have any contribution to this program, please get out.
All right. Well, sir, thank you for your call. That was most appreciated. Listen, this is what we're doing. We are having discussions on the draft constitution. So if you want to call in to talk about that, please do so. We'll discuss it in a mature manner, and we will go through it throughout this show. And there's more to come to discuss. So you've got the opportunity to call in 3220-906 and 3220-907. If you're listening in online, your questions will also be sent in via email at goldfm@fbc.com.fj. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back with more on Speak Your Mind. Welcome back to the final segment of Speak Your Mind right here on 100.2 FM. We'll cross over now to the phone lines as we anticipate a question for our guest today, the Prime Minister, Commodore Voreqe Bainimarama. Gold FM Bula. Gold FM, hello.
Hello.
Yes, your first name and where you're calling from, please?
Caller from Namandi. I just want to comment on to thank the Prime Minister for tremendous job and his government. I think we should don't have the election next year.
Well, there's an opinion. Don't have elections next year. Of course, that won't be considered, I presume, Prime Minister?
Sorry?
That opinion from the caller, not to have elections next year, would that be considered?
No, we will have elections.
We'll have elections, so no chance of that. So let's move on with the discussion as we await phone calls to spill into the studio. 3220-906. We'll chapter 3. Let's talk about chapter 3, Prime Minister, on the draft Constitution 2013 in regards to the Parliament, dealing with Parliament. It states within this chapter, and I'm on page 31. With this chapter, it states that the Secretary General to Parliament is appointed now by the Prime Minister. I suppose this is in line with the caller who called in earlier on, mentioning that now the office of the Prime Minister can now appoint a number of public officers. Perhaps you can clarify as to why the office of the Prime Minister will now be appointing the Secretary General?
Well, my question to that would be, is there anybody else, anyone can come up with any submission for an alternative? Because it's the Prime Minister is the one with authority in this land. If he wants to be appointed by the bus driver of Rewanga, please let us know. We'll think about it.
It's just in the past, Prime Minister, the Constitutional Officers Commission would look after these appointments.
So who appoints the Constitution Commission?
We're back at that same...
Exactly.
All right, we'll cross over to the phone lines now. Line 9, Gold FM Bula.
Bula Benake Wame, it's me again, and Bula, Commander.
And who are you?
It's Shamima Ali, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess, Frank, you are asking me a question, and I put the phone off, whether we have some suggestions for the Constitution. First of all, definitely, we will make the same recommendations we have done before. But before we do that, there's a question I needed to ask, because we also have written to the media, but they did not publish it. Because for us to participate in a process, it has to be used. So
Who's
I'll
us?
tell you what it is.
Who's
Hello?
us? Who's
Hello?
us? Are you? Who's us? When you're saying us?
No, crisis center, I'm saying.
Crisis center.
The crisis center from there. So what we asked was, like in the Sun on Saturday, Colonel Aziz has said, and I don't know whether it's reported rightly or wrongly, that the FMF will ensure that you will rule after the elections because you've done a lot of great things and so on. So, that's in contradiction to having free and fair elections. So I just wanted a bit of clarification before we actually make our recommendations to the draft constitution.
Okay, Ms. Ali.
Thank you. Thank you. First of all, it's not FMF. FMF is Flour Mills of Fiji. It's RFMF. Republic.
RFMF. Sorry,
okay.
Yes.
Okay, it's
I thought we had
RFMF.
lost the royal. So.
Okay. It's not royal. It's Republic.
Republic. Sorry,
yeah.
yes.
It was Republic in 1987.
Thank you for that information.
You're most welcome.
And your clarification?
And the clarification is that's what his comment was about, the support of the military towards what needed to be done in our country to move it forward. That's what he's saying, really. I don't know why you interpret it as a...
The military, isn't it supposed to be in the draft constitution sort of impartial and supporting the government of the day?
It is impartial. What he's talking about is the way forward.
The comment is not, sir.
Well, that's your interpretation of it.
Let me interrupt. I'm really sorry. Let me just, Shamima, just stay on the line. Let me just read to you what your chief of staff had mentioned, Prime Minister. He said, we will give him, I'm quoting, we will give him our support to keep his leadership, end of quote. I think that's what the caller is referring to by that sentence, if you could clarify by that.
Well, my interpretation is he's talking about that, because we're talking about the Constitution, and he's talking about the Constitution and the way forward, and he's supporting it. So what's bad about that?
All right. Does that answer your question, Ms. Ali? Let's clarify things for you.
Actually, I think we are misunderstanding the question, but never mind. Thank you for that response.
All right. We'll leave it at that. We're awfully out of time. We're going to wrap things up here in the studio very shortly. But before we do, we've still got a chance to call in. Prime Minister, looking back now at your administration, of course, elections is next year, September 2014, and the time could fly by very quickly. Come elections of 2014, what are some of your proud achievements, I guess you could say, of your administration in the last 5-6 years?
Well, I mean, one of the best things that we will come up with would be a good constitution. What do you think?
That would be super. Do you think this is that constitution?
It'll be this constitution, of course. We're still getting submissions for amendments, and I've already seen a couple of amendments that needed to be done in this draft constitution. That is going to happen. So a good constitution is something that is good for us, that we put on the table for the people of Fiji. Forward-looking, gotten rid of all the race obsession that we've had, equal one man, one vote, equal citizenry. Those are the good things that we've put in place. We've changed the mindset of the people of Fiji. We are now all Fijians. And that does not mean that we are all going to share all the Tauke land that has been written in the blog sites. I want to make that very clear. But in addition to that, we've changed a lot of laws. We've updated a lot of laws. The Solicitor General Chambers have worked very hard to ensure that we updated our laws. Some laws have been archaic from the last century, really. And we're going on about that. We're changing those laws. We've we've brought in new laws with regards to our women. And that is something that the women's group have not really appreciated. All they harped on about is a place in Parliament. They have not appreciated what the government has done with regards to domestic laws that protect our women and our kids. We've done a lot of development in the rural and the remote areas, including the maritime areas. That is why a lot of people in those remote and rural areas do not want election. They don't want the dirty part of politics. And that's what they tell me. We don't want election, we want you to continue. And people might say, like that guy who wants to have proof of that. I'm sorry, if you want, you can come with me when I go on trips outside to the remote areas. But that's the message I'm getting because of the development we've put out into the rural and remote areas. I've done more, and this government have done more for the Itoke than any previous government has ever done with regards to land. As you know, I've just put in a decree that stops the alienation of land, of Toke land, from native land to freehold, because we've discovered about that mommy issue. In addition to that, we've lowered the poundage. A lot of people don't seem to understand that. In fact, the chief of the Conroe didn't want it. We've lowered the poundage from 25, it's now going to be 10% by June. We've lowered it to from 15% in January. We've cut it down to 2.5%, so it'll be 12.5%. By June, it'll be 10%. That 5% means another $4 million in the landowners' pockets. That has never been done before. The equal lease distribution that all the Matangali owners have been harping about in the last 20, 30, 40 years, I've changed that. This government has changed that. We've brought about equality to the people of this nation. Sure, there may be some rough patches in between, but we're doing it on the understanding that when this constitution comes out in 2014, we will have a good Fiji. Whoever the political party that's going to win and take us forward, they'll have a good Fiji from here.
You mentioned, so you referenced to just your last sentence, you said whoever will win. So are you okay with the possibility that you might lose in the general elections?
Of course. But the bottom line is this. This is what's going to take us forward. This ensures that we will have a good Fiji. Whether people pick me if I do stand is another matter.
But you are going to stand?
I'm going to stand.
All right. You haven't made mention about your political party?
No, I have not.
Anytime soon?
Not soon. Like I said, it might be the party of one right now.
The Democratic Party of One. Should we have time? I guess we're out of time. Just 10 or 15 seconds. We'll answer one call and we'll call it a day. Gold FM, Bula.
Hello.
Yes, you're the last caller, sir. So if you could...
This is in Nandi.
Okay, your question for the PM?
Yeah, just the comments, my brother.
Go right ahead.
I would just like to congratulate the PM for the effort to put Fiji together. Now, I say that what I mean, you see Nandi is the most progressive town right at the moment. What I mean is when the two races work together, the Fijian and the Indian, we built a better Nandi, you see. Now, here is a man who's trying to put two races together or other races to work together for the betterment of Fiji. And I would like to congratulate him.
Naka.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck on you.
Well, and on that kind note, we'll wrap up the discussion for today. The Prime Minister, Commodore Voreqe Bainimarama, as well as the Minister for, well, a number of portfolios. I won't go through it. It's quite a mouthful. As well as the Commander of the Republic of Fiji Military Forces joins us today. Sir, many thanks.
Naka.